Good evening, or well, it's not on me to say what time of the day it is. That's determined by Father Time. Welcome to War with a Mate. It's you, Andy.
You, James.
That's it. Mixed that up a little bit. Bet that confused everybody at home. I bet most people don't listen to this at home. I can't imagine somebody deciding to stick this on when they're doing the dishes. This is more of a walking somewhere podcast.
Driving podcast.
No, not a driving podcast. No.
Okay.
No, you need
to be walking.
You need to have your hands free for this one.
Oh, okay.
You need to have them ready.
Ready to throw them up in despair.
Well, I was thinking like fist in the air, cheering along.
Okay, you're coming in positive this week.
We've got like a revolution starting, a revolution on our hands. What we're revolutionising is the way that Campaign for North Africa is played.
Yeah, fixing a problem that didn't need to be solved.
Well, we're playing a game that didn't need to be made, or indeed played. But we've been doing some bits and pieces today all around food and water. Mostly water, to be fair.
Yeah. Water in the desert. Apparently, well, the rules say we should be fine for water.
Yeah, Richard Berg left us a little message in the rules that we saw today, which says that water isn't really a problem. There's a lot of it. And I'll give credit to him. When I've been distributing my water today, and it's not the actual water distribution phase, this is me completing the pasta point distribution, my men getting their extra water for their pasta. I've been getting it from the wells, because a lot of my men are garrisons, so they're stationed in burhs or villages. And we did a little bit of rules digging today to figure out whether or not I can use water from the wells, and we determined I can. But there's a table for that, of course, and the table means I have to roll to determine how much water I draw from the well, and then I have to roll a second time to see if I've depleted the well.
And I don't get to know that, so you may have just depleted most of the wells that are in the territory I'm going to be pushing into if things go well.
Yes. Well, what I've done, I've rolled 8. I've rolled 8 different wells. And what I will say is at least one of them has been depleted.
Ooh.
I'm not going to say where, I'm not going to say how many, but one of them has been depleted.
What a dangerous mystery for my guys.
Yeah, I'm sending this out through Enigma. Consider it cracked. One of the wells is depleted.
Just directly taunting people through encrypted messages.
Yeah, Turing has got in touch with you and he said, one of the wells is depleted, but we don't know which one, and we don't know how many.
Thanks, Alan. That's real helpful.
Hey, he's on money now.
I mean, yeah, he made it, I guess.
He's on, is it the £20 note?
I don't know.
You don't know? I don't actually handle a lot of cash these days.
Cash.
No, me neither. I actually had an interaction at work today where somebody asked me to, on my lunch, pop out. I was already going out to buy some lunch. And they were like, oh, well, do you mind popping over, getting me some as well? Handed me a crisp £10 note. And I was like, well, how's this going to work? Because I'm buying my food at the same place, and I'm going to pay on card. So you've either given me £10, which I'm keeping, all of it, or I'm using all of the £10 to buy both of our food, so you don't get the change. Either way, I'm getting all of your money.
Well, yeah, that's your tip for
That's
going
it.
to get them food.
Because we don't have tipping culture, really, in the UK.
No, we have not giving people their change back culture.
And that's what I try to get on the bandwagon of, but it didn't work. So what are your thoughts on today's gameplay? How's it been for you, Andy?
It's been pretty calm for me. I've been looking at the water distribution phase and doing a bit of automation. The water distribution's not that bad. It's if you guys aren't drinking that much water, it's 1 water point per tow point per unit, not tow point.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And your vehicles need water, but only if they move.
Yeah.
So I haven't, at least from my side of it, the water doesn't actually seem to be a problem. It seems that wasn't a lie. How's the pasta points affecting your water levels?
It's affecting my morale in real life more than my actual water levels. Thankfully, the wells, I mean, the amount of water you can draw from wells. Have you looked at the tables much for the wells?
For wells, not yet.
You get a lot. You get sort of like around 150 to 300 is the average that you're looking at on those tables for villages. So you get a lot, and you only need, at the most I've had to spend on units for the pasta point is like 12 water points.
Yeah.
So there's a ton of villages now that just have water flowing through the streets, ready to be soaked up with anybody who's got a little beaker. So that's went quite well. So the actual logistics of my men getting the water is going quite all right.
Oh, nice.
The positive as well is I don't think the men who are starving need the water, But either way, I've deducted it.
I think if you're starving, water's more important.
Oh, but then you get that weird feeling. You ever had too much water when you've not eaten much and you can feel it like...
Sloshing around. Yeah, it's not a great feeling, but it's better than dying of thirst and hunger.
Well, I suppose, yeah, if you had to pick, lesser of two evils and all that.
Yeah.
So I've not actually suffered all that much. And knowing that in the background, while I'm doing that, you're working on automating some of this for us it's given me a lot of ease. I've actually just had quite a pleasant time today. It's just been ticking away the numbers. It's been some solid work that hasn't felt all that despair-filled.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So I'm on an up today. I'm on an up.
That's good.
Which is crazy because I'm very tired. I slept like not at all last night, so
nice.
Very tired.
Well, we stopped doing D&D at like midnight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did Dungeons and Dragons last night, and then I had a very early start at work, and then came straight here from work more or less. So yeah, it's just another
love of the game.
Yeah, love of the game. Could be doing something else with my night, but instead I'm here doing this.
Yeah,
classic.
But hopefully the automation means when we get to this part of the turn next time, it'll just be the Excel spreadsheet. It'll just do it all for us. So what's been 4-5 hours, 2, 3, 4 5-hour sessions sorting this out should hopefully just be instant next time.
Exactly, that's what we've been looking at this as. It's a way to prepare to play the game long term. This 6-turn practice run is probably going to take a lot longer than the first 6 turns when we play them the second time round for the real game.
I hope so. But
it better.
Yeah, a lot of this is building the tools and stuff that actually make it finishable.
And I think we've done a pretty great job. I say you've mostly worked on the automation, so you've done a lot so far, and I'm very interested to see how that plays out in practicality.
Yeah.
So it's all looking up. Everything's coming up, Millhouse.
Yeah.
I think we're doing a hell of a good job, and my men are, they're starving, but, we'll figure that one out. There's food out there ready to be plucked up. Found out a little bit more about where you can dump food as well. You can just dump food and ammo anywhere, up to 50 points of each.
Yeah, I know you can, but it feels like a bad idea.
Well, you can just dump it anywhere in the desert, and I don't even think I need to put it down as a supply dump. I don't need to notify you until you get to that hex. So that's quite good.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm going to litter not streets, the dunes with lots of food. The deserts of Egypt.
Mind.
Oh, gotcha.
I walked into that one.
Yeah, well, we had an Instagram poll this week about fun recurring phrases, and your subtle, humble, brave made it to the top.
Of course.
Deserts of my mind barely cracked second place. It was up there with "We've started playing the game."
I would have voted for that if I had Instagram.
Yeah. Well, anyone who is interested, our Instagram is War with a Mate. We'll post a weekly poll where it's a bit like the podcast. It's tangentially game related. So check us out on there. It's also another way to get in touch with us if you have any questions, queries, or complaints, I suppose. Not that there's anything to complain about. We're doing this as a service to you. You should be grateful. This is a public service. We're not doing this for us. We're doing
this is productive, helpful work we're doing.
We're doing this to be kind.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking what we can do to kick this one off is delve into the past a little bit. Go back to the distant memories of last week. And, there it is again, a lovely little sound effect for the reflection on last week. Where we talked about good old Monty, Bernard Montgomery, one of the commanders of the Commonwealth forces during the North African campaign. And last time, we'd covered off his World War I endeavours.
Yeah, a lung shot and a history of bravery and getting medals.
Yeah, that was Lung Shot, by the way, not the B-52 song Love Shack. Very different vibe. The vibe that we have with Monty is he was a little bit, I think I used the word disenchanted with the structure of military command. And he went on to have quite a decorated career after World War I. So, following World War I, good old Monty, which is a nickname that I haven't given him. It was actually a nickname that I've found in historical documentation.
People in the past were so creative.
They were. Maybe he was the original Monty, who knows? Ooh. Probably not. But Monty's decorated career, it did end up giving him a fairly significant role in the closing days of the Irish War of Independence.
Uh-oh.
He carried out a lot of counter-guerrilla operations during that time.
All right.
And guerrilla warfare is notoriously one of the worst warfares. So,
Probably second worst.
Desert warfare isn't much better. So between guerrilla warfare, desert warfare, he hasn't had a great track record of warfares.
Yeah.
But
I think I'd prefer being a desert war than a guerrilla war.
well, he had some thoughts on the Irish War of Independence around its conclusion. So his conclusion in 1923 was that the only real solution to the conflict was the arrangement of self-government for Ireland. He was pro self-government for Ireland as a solution to the conflict.
Like one country.
Yes,
Yeah.
well, independence,
Yeah.
yes, self-governing. He actually wrote a letter. I've got a snippet of it here, which I found, which is quite interesting, quite insightful. And tell me if you spot any modern-day parallels in any of what's been said here. So, it reads, "Personally, my whole attention was given to defeating the rebels, but it never bothered me a bit about how many houses were burned. I think I regarded all civilians as shinners, Sinn Féin, and I never had any dealings with any of them. My own view is that to win a war of this sort, you must be ruthless. Oliver Cromwell or the Germans would have settled it in a very short time. Nowadays, public opinion precludes such methods. The nation would never allow it, and the politicians would lose their jobs if they sanctioned it. That being so, I consider that Lloyd George was right, being the Prime Minister at the time, in what he did. If we had gone on, we could have probably squashed the rebellion as a temporary measure, but it would have broken out again like an ulcer the moment we removed the troops. I think the rebels would have probably refused battles, hidden their arms, until we had gone. The only way, therefore, was to give them some form of self-government and let them squash the rebellion themselves. They are the only people who could really stamp it out." So, I think it's interesting how much of his opinion on that hinged on public opinion.
Yeah, it was. I'm fine doing really horrible stuff. It's just not the most effective horrible stuff.
Yeah, we'd squash that temporarily, but we'd get in so much trouble in terms of the geopolitical structure of our own country and the opinion of our people.
You need to get ulcers.
Yeah, get rid of the ulcers. So I think you compare that to sort of the state of warfare and media in the early 2000s, late 90s, and you sort of measure that up and go, oh, there's some parallels there, but people took a very different approach in modern times.
Well, it seems like a lot of wars that fought in the latter half of the 20th century is that kind of war that they might have learned, let's not do that from.
Yeah, because you think about how many wars have had so many atrocities and pretty nasty stuff that happened afterwards. It's not really a sentiment that seems to have survived.
No.
But it is interesting that after that mindset, he was one of the chosen leaders in the War Without Hate.
Yeah, I think as I'm learning, well, as we learned about Graziani, and I think as we learn more about this war, I think that might be misnamed. I think it might be... There was a war with quite a lot of hate. Just the hate relative to the Eastern and Western fronts of the Pacific is a bit less.
Yeah, relatively less, but you do have some pretty...
bad guys involved.
Some kind of vicious warmongers here. So it's interesting that he ended up being one of those figures within that. Yeah. So that really piqued my interest, as did a little anecdote from 1922. So Monty had a bit of an unfortunate ambush encounter that could well have ended tragically, but he escaped unscathed. So he arrived in the town square in front of Macroom Castle in Ireland. He was there to try and rescue 4 British officers that had went missing. So he arrived with 60 men, 4 armoured cars. He was under strict instructions not to attack the IRA, though. So he arrived, and upon arriving, he rendezvoused with the IRA commander, Charlie Brown. Met him out in the courtyard. Charlie Brown told him that he had 10 minutes to leave the town with all of his men. And at this point, Monty heard a whistle. And as he looked round, he found that riflemen had surrounded him and all of his men in this town square.
So I assume he left the town within 10 minutes.
He did.
Okay.
He did. Which was an action chastised in the House of Commons afterwards. as to why he did this.
Because he was surrounded by men with guns.
Yeah.
He was in a kill box.
It seems pretty self-explanatory. Well, Monty, why didn't you just choose to die execution style?
That is very, like, this time period, like, oh, you should have gone in jolly good and bopped him, and it's like, war's changed, mate.
Bopped is a very good way to describe. I can see the word bopped being used in that
a guy
time.
with a frilly collar.
But in the end, he was his actions were approved by his superiors. And what's worse is they found later that by the time they had arrived there in that town square, those 4 officers had already been executed.
Oh, so it was... Why did they let him go?
I'm not sure.
That just seems like at that point, either don't be there at all, or you're there to kill him.
I think at that point, the fact that he's got a significant force, I feel like they probably didn't want that big of a skirmish breaking out in the middle of a town square. And, I mean, I don't know how many riflemen surrounded, but presumably they didn't want to get...
I mean, it's enough that they left.
Exactly. So So, Monty is no stranger to tough scrapes as well. Not to draw direct comparisons to Graziani or anything. And what we can do, I suppose, to move away from anything Graziani related, is to talk about love.
Okay.
His romantic life. Monty's first documented run-in with the fairer sex was when he proposed to 17-year-old Betty Anderson when he was pushing 40.
Okay.
So it's a bit of an age gap.
Yeah.
Different times, but still
double.
Yeah, yeah. Just doing the quick maths there. Yeah. That's still a strange bit of numeracy.
Also, as far as life experience gaps go, it's a long time, and also he's fought the First World War at this point. What?
Well, to try and seduce, serenade, he took her out to some beach, and he drew something in the sand for her. Now, what do you imagine he would draw in the sand for her to try and coax a bit of romance, a bit of love? What would you think you would draw in the sand for Betty?
I don't know is it some weird military thing? Is he like, he is a formation of tanks, isn't this hot?
Yes.
Oh, it actually is.
It's exactly that. What he did was he drew out plans in the sand for her as to how he would deploy his tanks and infantry in a future war.
I like that because it's 2 things. It's 1, not erotic at all, and probably breaking, like, classified
military stratagem. And the thing is, as well, it was in the sand. A future war.
In the sand.
Was he a seer? Who knows?
I'm going to say no.
Probably not. Betty rebuffed his advance. She was
with
not
her
interested.
own tank formation in the sand, or
oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah.
She actually went on to fight.
It out. Yeah.
So after that, he decided.
So a man twice her age drawing tank formations on a beach didn't get it.
Just didn't do it for her. Weird.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tick that off my list of romantic approaches.
Date ideas.
Yeah.
It's all even more deranged from you, because when I'm in a future war, it's like, are you in the military, or?
I just play a board game, but it's not a fun one, but it's a long one.
Watch how I'm going to take Tobruk. Oh, she's left.
I have a podcast. Listen to it. It's all about a board game sometimes. So he decided the next documented romantic endeavor I can find is with Betty. Oh, yes, it's a second Betty. Betty Carver.
So he's got a type.
He's got a type. Betty is his type. Betty was a widow, closer to his age. She actually had 2 sons in her late teens. And good old Monty, he was commended for marrying a widow with 2 children. So he met... I've got down here that they met in 192. So clearly there's a number missing. So he met her in ancient times, and they lived a long, happy, immortal life, a bit like the film Hancock. So yeah, that's wrong. And then... oh, wow, I've really made a cock and balls of this, because apparently in Somerset... 11,937. Goodness me. So, what actually happened in Somerset was in 1937. And this was a parallel to Graziani in terms of some story elements, in that there was an animal attack. You see, Betty was bitten by an insect. And after being bitten, she was suffered from a very serious infection and had her leg amputated.
From a... insect bite
in Somerset. Following the amputation, she died in Monty's arms.
Like right then, or At a later date.
At a later date, from what I
Okay.
can ascertain, it seems like it got worse
Yeah.
over a very short period of time, which led to Monty being consumed in his work. Immediately after the funeral, he went straight back to work.
Okay.
And his stepson, actually, Dick Carver, he was, funnily enough, taken prisoner at Mercer Matruh in November of 1942.
Oh.
He escaped in September of 1943, but yeah, so he was involved in the campaign.
So Monty was sending his stepson off to...
Yeah, I'm not sure if he had sort of direct line of command
Yeah.
over him, but yeah, so he had family there. And following that, he had a lot of busy times in the late 1930s. I won't go through all of his many titles that he cycled through, but it's an impressive list. He went on to operate in Palestine. He assisted in suppressing an Arab revolt spurred on by opposition to Jewish emigration. And after battling some serious illness in July of 1939, he returned to Britain to command the 3rd Infantry Division. He wrote, around that time, "I shall be sorry to leave Palestine in many ways, as I have enjoyed the war out here."
Okay. Yeah. So he loves war.
He loves war.
Yeah.
And conveniently enough for Monty, 2 months later, Great Britain declared war on Germany.
Is he particularly involved in that decision?
I don't think he was involved in the decision.
Right.
However, he was involved in the events that followed
What
greatly.
sort of rank is he at the minute? Is he a general at this point?
No, he was what was it again? I believe he was a colonel during this time.
Okay.
I will have to.
Yeah.
I have to just admit that I don't have that to hand. I'm pretty sure he was a colonel around this time.
Okay.
What I can
So
do
high
is double
rank,
check.
but not yet general.
No, I don't believe he was general for a good little while. So yeah, there was a good period of operation where he really sailed up through those ranks.
Does he say what he enjoys about the war in either Ireland or Palestine, or is he just like, I like war?
Well, there is some more information which I think we'll save for next time about his endeavours in World War II, which gives a bit more of an insight as to who he was as an actual leader, as a commander. Some interesting stuff in there. All in all, I think we do have an interesting guy here in Monty. At first, I was concerned that maybe there weren't going to be as many eccentric characters on the Commonwealth side of things, but it would seem there's.
It's a pretty eccentric time.
It is.
It's
for
like-
eccentric people.
A lot of these people came up in the like brightly coloured uniform era and like cavalry charges and stuff, and then transitioned over.
And here they are in the desert.
Yeah.
Things got wild. But that's a little bit more about Monty, and we'll pick up more Monty next week. I love a good bit of history.
Yeah.
Just handy, given the board game that we're playing.
Yeah.
This would have been a bit shit if we were playing Monopoly.
I'm sure there's some interesting characters in
In Monopoly.
the world of capitalism.
No, I hear capitalism. It's
Very boring.
not many people involved in it
No.
these days. It's sort of dried out.
Yeah.
Communism's where it's at these days. I hear it's on the rise.
It's coming back.
There's a real boom, real communist boom going on. Well, maybe we should answer that. Oh, telegram call coming in. We should deal. What? Put your finger to your ears. There's no earpiece. Actually, no. There were headsets, weren't there? They had the
Yeah.
headsets to listen.
I was getting into it.
Oh, sorry, man. No, you're right. You're right. Sorry, I'm talking out my ass here. That's
These physical things are for me.
Yeah,
There's no video.
yeah. It's just for you.
I'm amusing myself.
It's not for me because I clearly don't like it. So stop doing it.
I'll take that on board.
Well, we've got plenty more mail to get through. You've been sending them in hot and heavy. You've been sending some great ones in as well. So thanks. We're very excited to get into some of those. So let's open up one of these here. What we got? So we have an email here from Mike. An email from Mike. Let's see what Mike has to say. I'll speak into the mic when I'm answering the questions from Mike. Hi, Andy and James. He knows our names. My name is Mike. I found War with a Mate from a random comment on an Instagram reel that mentioned the game. Yeah, we've had a few people mention that. I've actually tracked down the comment and replied to it. I started listening on Spotify just over a week ago and have already caught up. 16 episodes as of typing this. That's commitment. It's a lot of us to listen to. So, condolences. so I can start listening to the episodes as they release from now on. You too have made listening to people discuss the world's most abhorrently tedious game both interesting and fun. Keep up the great work. Thanks,
Mike.
We do our very best. This game does not make it easy. So I'm glad you understand that what we put in is a tremendous amount of work and creative brilliance. So it's nice that that's recognised. So thank you.
Forgot the stay humble part.
Sorry. Yes, we're humble and subtle. Yes, it's no trouble at all, Mike. So with that said, I have a few questions. First, does James have a unit for Graziani like the other leaders, even though he's only present during his offensive? So to answer that, no. Unfortunately, the only sort of named character in this who has a piece in the game is Rommel himself. And the game does describe it as being more of a sort of jokey element than anything else, because Rommel, from what I've read, wasn't actually driving around in his Jeep.
Running around the desert.
Yeah, because he's got a lot of CPA, so he can move a lot more than most of the units. He's unkillable for the most part, so he's a unique unit.
One thing I do like that they specify is that he only has access to AM radio,
I
no
do
FM
love that.
radio.
Yeah, it says specifically that. We did actually wax about originally calling this podcast Rommel has no FM. So we decided not to put Rommel's name in the podcast name because that's feels like bad SEO.
He is the only named one, but there are a couple of special characters. So there's the long range desert group, which are I only get 3, you only get 1.
Yes,
have their own special rules.
Desert Raiders.
I think I get the SAS.
Yes,
you get the flotilla or something. Like at one point during the game, in the full one, you can send like a mission to blow up Alexandria Harbour. I can.
It's a sort of submarine mission.
Yeah, I think that was like a couple of guys in like early, like one-man submarines, like sneaking into the harbour.
Yeah, so at one point I get a sort of special unit that I get to carry out. I get to try this raid once, and I get to choose at any point in the game. But if it gets pulled off, I basically destroy your harbours.
Yeah, it'll take a lot of work to unblock the harbour. Basically, it's a thing that really happened, from my understanding, where they snuck in and set a bunch of mines up in the harbour, and basically crippled the naval capacity for a while.
So we get a few special units, but no, Graziani isn't one. So unfortunately, we don't get to see how he plays out. But you do go on to say, Mike, to add to that, from Andy's history lessons in 15 and 16, we learned that Graziani is unfortunately very lucky when it comes to surviving fatal attacks / accidents. Very much so. If James does have a Graziani unit, will he need to roll luck checks at random times to see if he survives more absurd incidents? I do love that as an idea.
That would be great, yeah.
I do love the Graziani hijinks table, where it's he's fallen into a well. Yeah. Oh, he was just trying to draw some water and now he's stuck down there. Will a dog find him or not? Is Lassie around?
Yeah, I would like to see just him getting into scrapes. Or you just have a sideboard of Mousetrap and Graziani's.
You build it up as he moves around. I like the idea of incorporating a second board game into Graziani's misadventures.
If our generals fall through carpets and die.
Maybe we'll have to make our own piece and insert Graziani.
Yeah.
Who knows? Next question. Beyond lying to each other and acts of sabotage, decoys and salted wells, someone's been either paying attention to the podcast or reading the book. I don't recommend either. Are there any rules for espionage? So I guess we've touched on it a little bit, because the Desert Raider groups, when they move around, we don't put them down on the actual map. So we keep track of those in secret, which means Andy's Desert Raider groups, they are the only ones who can try and capture Rommel. And if they capture him, there's a chance they capture him permanently or temporarily. It's all rolled on a table.
Yeah. I think the temporary one is he was away on business in Rome, so he wasn't with his unit or something like that. Yeah,
there's a table. I think one of the results is it's either Rome or Sicily. Turns out that he was there the whole time, and we weren't actually following Rommel the whole time. It was a decoy. So yes, espionage in the sense of we have some hidden units. We mentioned earlier about the wells that I was using. If I deplete them, Andy only finds out when he gets there. So less intentional espionage from those aspects. They're just things that won't be found out. But there are intentional obfuscations in the sense of we can lie about toe points from scout missions within a degree.
Range, yeah.
So that's sort of as far as the espionage goes. There's no intel gathering, so to speak, in terms of,
you can do patrols and reconnaissance
Yeah.
flights and stuff like that, but there's no there's, thank God, not like a signal layer where you're intercepting and decoding stuff.
I'm surprised that Richard Berg didn't include...
He just didn't get around to it.
Didn't include like a cipher
Yeah.
and a whole other rule book where it's hidden codes. That would be fun,
Yeah.
but no, that's it for espionage.
There is a small element where the tile on the map is the highest ranking thing of the group. So one
Yes.
tile might represent an entire division of like several thousand people, or two guys, 2 toe points worth of guys in a truck. And you don't really know that until you start interacting with it.
Yeah, yeah.
So there is a level of obfuscation where it's like, is that thing that's moving towards me an entire like panzer division, or like a distraction with one unit of guys?
Yeah, the pieces don't represent necessarily what they come as, you sort of as is. I could detach more or less every unit from that game piece and then send it in, and it's just the HQ unit and a truck,
Yeah.
and all of the tanks have been linked up with another unit and assigned and attached to that. So there's definitely room to pull the wool over each other's eyes. But when it comes to espionage in the way that I see espionage, I don't think much more. But very good question. And you do go on to say, thanks again for dedicating yourselves to a project of this scale, and good luck working your way through the deserts of your minds.
Hey.
And he then also goes on, yours subtle, humble, and brave friend, Mike.
Thanks,
so,
Mike.
You've bridged a gap there. Maybe that's the common ground. It's Mike's email bringing us both together with both those beautiful phrases. So thanks, Mike. Fantastic questions, and even better quoting of me. So I think that was great. But we've got another one there. You want to take that one?
Yeah, we got one in based on our last common ground. Subject line: ponchos are cool, damn it.
Yeah, there is.
I agree with Andy on his common ground TM, like that. It's now trademarked on episode 17. Cloaks, capes, and ponchos need to be more socially acceptable to wear in public. My wife won't let me wear a poncho out in public because she knows I'd embarrass her. And I need that to change. And that's from Sean.
Yeah, Sean. I feel you, man. I mean, yeah, it's a damn shame that you don't get to wear your poncho. And if there's any sort of marital strife based on that, just have your wife listen to a common ground from last week where we argue the pros and cons. And I mean, I argued there are some cons, but I mean, yeah, if you want to wear the poncho, I mean, divorce is always on the cards. You can always go that route.
I mean, you don't have to suggest.
You don't have to. You don't have to do it. It's just, there is a world, Sean, where you are a man with a poncho. And that's it. That's a world that can exist. Just sit with that for a moment. Take that in and live with it a little bit.
This is
I honestly, that's a fantastic little.
yeah, that's a great email.
My wife won't let me wear the poncho out in public.
Yeah, I mean, Sean's wife. Please let him wear the poncho.
Let him wear the poncho. Let Sean wear the poncho just for a bit, once a week.
You think you'd be embarrassed? It's fashion forward.
It's
going to be a trendsetter.
When ponchos come back, you're going to be kicking yourself because Sean could have led the way with this. So, Sean, you know what? Maybe just once a week, go out on your own. Just say, I'm just going to pop up to the shop. I'm gonna go grab some milk, some broccoli, and
pop the poncho.
Pop on the poncho. Put it in a bag. Wait until you're out of the line of sight of the house. Stick the poncho on. See how you feel.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to go all that bad. So, I agree. Ponchos are cool. It's a shame society hasn't caught up with that, but sometimes society lags behind real progressive thought.
Well, the 17th of June, 2027.
Yeah, that's the poncho day.
Poncho day. So from that day, it'll be socially acceptable and everyone will be wearing them. So you've got 2 years to be fashionable, a trendsetter. So, yeah, make the most of it, Sean.
You know what? Sean, you're going to be fine, man. Yeah. You're going to be just fine. I believe that with my whole heart. So thank you for sending that in. It's a real insight as to what Andy's creating by talking about capes and stuff. Our next little delve in, we have a message from Joe. Joe says, I felt bad listening to you begging for emails, so I decided to send you one. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're getting them in now, Joe, but you really helped start push those dominoes, because you're a very early email that we have here. I like listening to your podcast. You speak very well on mic, even though you're supposedly amateurs. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We do our best not to knock the mic, and we got some feedback a little while ago on one of the episodes that there was a rattling sound with one of the wires. Someone wasn't very pleased with it, so we've tried not to knock them anymore. But thank you. The audio quality is something we strive to protect.
Get better over time.
I haven't listened to 2 of your episodes yet, as of this email, so 14 and 15. Oh, they're doozies. They're great ones.
You're in for a treat.
Oh, you'll love it. You probably listened to them by now. If you listen to this one, you have. But a topic I would love to hear you cover is the supernatural, particularly any personal stories you might have on ghosts or other strange occurrences. I would love to be your board game successor in case of your demise, but I want a future. Sincerely, Joe. Joe, do you know what podcast this is? Because you asked about ghost stories here.
I like
the supernatural. I like it a lot.
I wish I had one.
I hope we haven't let Joe down here in thinking that we have anything to say particularly about the supernatural. But we did actually. We were playing Dungeons and Dragons yesterday, and something that came up in Dungeons and Dragons recently is your superstition that the dice are magical.
Yeah, the dice have some form of intent behind them. D&D is a perfect example. Play 10 sessions of D&D. You know the dice have a mind of their own.
They do. They are magical. I will agree.
They're chipping in for the story. I think the dice we got in this box has been infested by the spirit of Richard Big because immediate rainstorm.
On the practice run when we're trying to learn the rules.
Yeah, you won't be doing air flying. That's the dice getting involved.
Yeah, just absolutely stripping back any capability of learning the game. So dice are magic.
Yeah, so no supernatural experience per se. Not fully against them.
You're not against them.
I'm not a full skeptic.
Oh, really? Oh, really?
No, I'm a bit open to it.
You're X-Files. You want to believe.
I do want to believe. I need the evidence.
You really are the Fox to my. You're the Fox Mulder to my Scully. That's who you are. You're a real believer.
Yeah, of course. Well, not hopefully, but yeah, I do have dice superstition, so there is a bit of supernatural there.
In terms of stories on ghosts, when I was younger, I used to be very fascinated with ghosts, but I've got to say, I don't have any run-ins with them, thankfully, because that would be spooky as fuck. I don't want to run into any ghosts.
We've got another 8 to 10 years of the pod, so maybe we'll encounter the supernatural on our journey.
And if we do, you'll be the first one to know, Joe. We will happily share any supernatural experiences. Oh man, it's a very good thing to throw out there. I feel like I'm very sad that we don't have more to talk about in the supernatural, but what we will do, Joe, is any supernatural experience we have from now to the end of the podcast, we promise to talk about it. Yeah. So if anything does come up, then yeah, it'll be on this mic that you hear about it. Or other strange occurrences. I don't know. You ever had anything strange happen?
I've had a very non-strange life.
You are one of the most normal people I've met. Well, Joe, I absolutely love the message. I'm very sorry we don't have more supernatural stuff to talk about. We barely talk about the game, so it's a miracle that we even had dice to talk about. But thank you for your compliments, and we'll keep an eye out for the ghosts.
A successor. We wouldn't inflict having to play this on anyone who listens, so if any of us die early, we'll be inflicting it on close personal friends.
That's right. You guys don't need to worry about this.
Yeah,
you're listening.
You're not going to be drafted.
No, this is meant to be fun for you. We won't want to. We're not going to put this on you. This isn't your cross to bear. What we got here? We got one from David.
Yeah,
David has sent over a message. What's David saying?
Hello there, guys. I found your podcast thanks to your little cameo on Cam Sandwich's Worst Board Game 2 tournament. I've been binge listening since then. I'm currently on episode 11. Hopefully you've actually started by the game by now. Although I get the feeling this might be just one big rip on the listeners, and you'll not actually get around to playing it. Anyway, it's a fun little podcast regardless, and I'll keep listening until the last episode, whenever that might be. Keep up the good word, David. So, thank you very much, David.
Yeah, you've committed to a real long task, based on the back of a little cameo. So that's sort of on you, but I hope you're enjoying it, and it seems like you are. So thank you for listening in. Episode 11. You really did binge as well, based on that cameo, because that was the same day. Yes. Wow. Yeah, that was... Wow, yeah, you really burned through those, so that's impressive. Thank you for listening so committedly. Yeah. That's you must have a... Yeah,
and we do
real
promise
hankering for our voice.
Isn't a big lie. We are actually playing the game, although I can understand why you might not think that.
I've had a lot of people that I know personally who immediately tried to market the podcast to, check this out, I'm playing a board game, it's going to be really fun to listen to me talk about it. And the feedback I got from all of them, and we've had it on comments and emails, that we don't talk about the board game very much. So I understand why somebody might think it's a joke, but we are playing it. We'll put out bits and pieces to prove that as we go along, but it would be funny if it wasn't the case, if we were just lying. That would be... Maybe we are. Maybe this is a lie.
How far can we take this?
All the way. 9 years in, I think people might start getting suspicious.
Well, we've had to fake board updates to the point we are playing the game, basically.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah, it gets to a certain point where we have to play the game regardless.
Yeah.
But no, David, we promise we're playing the game. We promise. So we will prove that to you in some way that we can. We've got... Let's have a look here. We've got one more from Xander. Xander, it's a very brief one, nice and concise. If you two were in the desert during the time of the game, would you eat camel nuggets to survive? Now, Xander, I think you know damn well that we don't know if we can make them into nuggets. However, if it were the case that camel nuggets were available, we'd absolutely munch those up.
Oh, yeah. I'd definitely eat camel nuggets. I have a suspicion camel hump is extremely tasty.
Yeah, I know you do, because you talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
At length.
Yes. It probably tastes like Wagyu beef.
Yeah, I remember that phrase.
Yeah.
You were talking about the hump being a really, juicy meat.
Yeah, well, it's all fat.
So the thing is, Xander, Andy thinks about this all the time.
I will basically eat any animal once.
That's a horrible commitment to me.
I will try any animal.
What a nasty promise.
What do you mean? It's not a promise. It's just, I can't think of an animal I wouldn't try, as long as it's not, directly poisonous.
You can't think of any animal that you wouldn't eat?
Unless it's, directly poisonous. If there's a way of cooking it and it's edible, I'd try it.
Oh, there's got to, I don't know about that.
What do you mean?
No, I don't. There's some animals where I'm like, I wouldn't.
What would you not eat?
I wouldn't eat someone's pet dog.
I wouldn't eat a pet dog, but I'd eat a dog.
What dog?
A dog that's not someone's dog. I'd try dog.
Where are you finding this dog?
There's places you can have dog.
Here in the UK?
I'll travel to eat animals.
Find a better way to spend your time. Stop travelling to eat dog.
I'm not going to travel specifically, but if I'm in a place where that's part of the cuisine, I'll definitely try it.
I don't believe that for 1 second. You're hunting down dog. You're a dirty dog is what you are.
I'm a hungry dog.
No. Oh. Sander, you've opened up this can of worms, this can of camel nuggets. But in short, I honestly would try them, and I think they might be quite tasty.
You try them because they're in nugget form.
What I do quite like, actually, is on the email, it's got the sort of little smart suggestion for the replies. And it's got 3 little supplies. The first reply that's suggested is, absolutely, exclamation point. The next is, unfortunately, no. And the last is, maybe. So we've really covered all bases with that.
It's really helpful by AI there. Because you wouldn't be able to think of that without it.
What, yes, no, or I'm not sure?
Apparently not.
The 3 answers.
Yeah.
Well, Xander, there you go. There you have it. We will absolutely try it. And especially, we would try it now. If we were in the desert during World War II, we'd absolutely gobble those up.
Yeah.
So yeah, if anyone, I was going to say if anyone knows where to get camel nuggets, don't tell us that.
Actually, do please email it in.
No, give it to Andy's personal
Send
email.
me exotic food suggestions.
Send that to him personally, not to the
Because
info.
when I win, my meal is going to be some kind of camel-based snack.
Snack, not a meal then. It's meant to be a sit-down meal. We don't actually
Well,
talk
it'll
about
be
that.
a banquet of various animals.
We haven't mentioned that in a little while, actually. Just to reiterate, for anyone who isn't aware, the stakes of the game, when we finish the full game, the loser of the game has to buy the other one dinner, pay for both of us to have a sit-down meal. So that's what's at stake here. Loser is buying the other one a meal. So we'll be having a sit-down meal at the end of all this. And Andy is poised to have a camel-based dinner. So I'm really, really hoping that I win.
Yeah. It's giving you an incentive.
Yeah. I don't want to pay for your... You'd probably make me pay for the plane ticket as well. I know what you're like. You're right, guess.
Well, I can't eat at the restaurant if I'm not in the country, so you will have to pay for the plane ticket.
Well, that's some more fantastic mail. So thank you, everyone, for that. We've still got more to get through. So
Love
keep
getting it.
it's
Keep it coming. Thank
been
you very
fantastic.
much, guys.
Keep an ear out. We'll continue to respond to those as they come in. The email address is info@warwithamate.co.uk. And we've got an Instagram, which is War With A Mate. Fire a message on there instead if you'd prefer. There's also a web form on our website. There's all sorts of ways you can get
I'm
through to
very
us.
contactable.
Yeah, we're very contactable, as you've proven. So thanks for those. I suppose from there we have some common ground to hit. Got to hit the ground running with it.
Yeah, let's have a moment of bonding.
Let's. And now for something nicer. A little oasis in the war. It's time for some common ground. I'm trying the intro for common ground. I'm recording it. Maybe. Yeah. So, my common ground this week.
Yep.
My common ground is stop calling me when I'm on public transport.
I've never done that.
No, not you. Not you personally.
Okay.
And you probably have as well at some point.
I've never called you.
I don't want to be called when I'm on the bus or the train.
Okay.
I don't want to have a phone call when I'm there.
Okay.
So stop doing it.
How are they meant to know you're on the bus?
Well, I'll say. I'll pick up the phone and I'll go, oh, sorry, I'm on the bus. Or, I'm sorry, I'm on the train. And that should be fine to say. But you know how many times that I've taken a phone call from somebody when I've been on the bus or the train and I'm like, oh, yeah, sorry, I'm on the bus. And they'll be like, all right, okay. And they'll continue to talk. And I'm like, no, sorry, that wasn't me giving just context to where I am. That was me trying to end the conversation.
Yeah, I think this is on you because you picked up the phone. If I don't want to have a phone conversation, I don't answer the phone.
That would be rude, though.
No.
They're calling. I'm able to take the call.
Well,
But I'm not going to take the call and extend it on public
then
transport.
don't take the call.
Because what are your feelings when people take phone calls on the bus? If they're next to you on the bus,
I enjoy
well, not next to you.
I enjoy it.
You enjoy it,
I enjoy like listening to people on the bus and people watching. Yeah,
right? Well, that's actually part of the problem. How would you feel about taking a call on the bus?
I wouldn't. I just wouldn't.
Yeah, because there's Andys out there like you listening in,
Yeah,
little eavesdroppers, wanting to hear what you're saying.
yeah.
I don't want that.
Want some juicy goss?
Well, I don't
about
want
a stranger.
I don't want my juicy goss
Yeah,
being overheard on the bus.
like yesterday, for instance, Thursday. Spent the whole ride.
Yes, that's a very different day.
I spent the whole ride listening to two girls bitch about someone called Lauren, and she sounds like a real piece of work.
Lauren, if you're out there listening, I guess Andy doesn't
Two
like
of
you.
your friends don't like you.
Stop doxing people on the podcast. Oh dear.
So yeah.
What was the gossip?
Oh, apparently she's a horrible liar.
A liar?
Yeah, she's
Oh.
just making things up.
We don't like liars.
No.
No, we fibbers and untruthers. That's not okay. It's not okay.
So I'm in favour of other people answering the phone on the bus.
Yeah, but that's why I don't like it, because I don't want people listening to me. So I suppose
Don't pick up the phone.
but it might be an emergency.
Has it ever been?
No, It hasn't so far. But that doesn't mean it's not ever going to be. I can't just go on the bravado of, oh, well, I suppose it hasn't been an emergency yet.
So
what
there
are the
will
chances
never
today
be
is? For all I know, that could be my one chance to have a supernatural experience, and I turn it down by not answering the phone.
Oh, you think Bigfoot's on the other end?
Bigfoot's not supernatural.
Oh, you think he's naturally occurring, you fool.
Yeah, Bigfoot's just around. Bigfoot's just a nice guy with a bit of hair going on.
Yeah, but he has magic powers.
Name 2.
Invisibility.
Bigfoot's invisible.
That's why I haven't found him.
And what's the second power he has?
Being aware of cameras nearby.
He's got eyes.
He just knows if he's about to be filmed, and then boom, he goes invisible. That's why he's not being found. Because of his supernatural powers.
Well, they sound like the same power. They're the same power.
Being aware of cameras and going invisible. They're complementary.
They're complementary.
They're not the same power.
Yeah, but one of them triggers the same. So he's aware of the cameras.
And then he decides.
So he becomes.
It's not like an automatic response. He's not a chameleon. He has control over his visibility.
You're looking at me with such intensity. Don't try and educate me about Bigfoot like you know what you're talking about. Calm down. So
Bigfoot might be phoning you.
Sorry, yeah, this is about being on the bus. So yeah, Bigfoot might be calling me. I don't want to miss the opportunity to have a word with him. See what he's.
So answer the phone. Hello, Bigfoot? No, this is your bank. Boom, hang up.
Yeah, well, no, I wouldn't hang up on the bank.
Oh, okay. Is that an emergency?
Well, why would the bank be calling? That's important.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Yeah.
I should probably start answering my phone more.
If the bank's calling, it's either it's a scam, which I'd like to think I could figure out during the course of the conversation when they start trying to steal my money. And if it's not a scam, and it's my bank actually calling with bad news, like
okay, I picked a bad example.
Bad news in the sense of like bank-related bad news. They're not like, oh, I've got someone you know has actually passed away. I'm sorry to tell you.
Should you be telling me this?
How did you find this out? I heard it through the grapevine. Thought I'd get ahead of it. I thought we could be close.
So you wanted it to be socially acceptable for you to just pick up the phone and go, I'm busy, hang up, and they'll call you back?
Well, not I'm busy. I want to be able to say I'm on public transport and for them to go, oh, okay, that means no phone calls. I want that to be the standard.
Okay.
I want somebody to pick up the phone and go, I'm on public transport, and for the norm to be, oh, sorry, I'll call you back.
Okay.
Fair enough if you're in your car and you got a hands-free. That's not so bad.
That's distracting.
Because you're in there with people that you probably know quite well if you're in a car with them. But public transport, any Andy could be eavesdropping. So, like, Lauren here has become a victim. You've come onto your podcast here. You've abused your platform to call somebody out, call her a liar, say that her friends are bitching about her. Yeah, you are, and you're sending a nasty message. Putting that out into the ether, into the airwaves.
Names were changed for anonymity.
I don't think they were.
Change them in post.
No, I won't be changing the names in post. I'm going to change the names to your national insurance number.
You shouldn't know that.
I'll figure it out. I'm in your house. I bet it's somewhere. Bet you write it somewhere. Is it under the table? You carved it under the table.
God damn it, he's on me.
He scratched it underneath, like he's in school. Okay. So you say, where do you sit on this common ground, Andy?
Yeah, I'd think that's fine. So set up a thing. You just say, I'm on transport, and they call you back. Yep. Maybe say, when will you not be on transport? And then you say, I'll be off the bus in half an hour. And then they call you on the dot.
Half an hour?
As you step off the bus.
Where are you going?
About half an hour away.
I'm just about done with your smart retorts, Andrew.
Common ground has not worked as it should.
No, we've at least agreed on the core element of it. What we haven't agreed on is Bigfoot.
I mean, I'll bring some stuff next week. I'll do some research.
No, don't bring Bigfoot to the next common ground. I won't agree with you.
Oh, okay.
It just won't happen.
Oh,
Keep Bigfoot out of this.
okay.
You see what you've done, Joe? You brought the supernatural into this house, and it's causing issues. Oh, the supernatural it's going to haunt us now.
Yeah. What supernatural monster would you most want on side for the Desert War?
Oh, okay. This is an interesting one. This should be a new segment, by the way. Which supernatural monster are we putting in the desert?
Email in.
No, you can't make this a segment.
Not a segment. We'll collect some and we'll go through them.
It's already crowded and not really about the game.
We'll do a tier list.
So, when it comes to supernatural beasties, well, you don't want the Kraken. I can tell you that for free.
Not in the desert.
You could have it along the shoreline,
Mediterranean.
messing around with Tobruk,
Yeah, maybe.
fucking up Benghazi's ports. I think the Kraken could do a real number on my supply line. But apart from that, I'd probably have to go with the Oompa-Loompas.
I don't like it, but they are supernatural creatures.
Yeah, they are.
What? You're just going to have them make chocolate?
No. There's no chocolate accessories in the desert to make.
Oh, okay. You just want small orange men running around.
I think that they've got a way to facilitate violent hijinks through song. And I don't think that there's a weapon in the 1940s that can counter that.
No, you do see, you look up to the Dune, you see a bunch of small silhouettes and the song starts.
And you know you're
gonna
done.
die in some zany way.
So, yeah, I think I'd probably bring the Oompa Loompas into the desert war.
Nice.
I think they'd cause mass havoc.
It's a good shout.
Who's your pick?
Quetzalcoatl.
Sorry?
Quetzalcoatl.
Well, I don't know.
It's a Mayan god.
You're bringing a Mayan god
Yeah.
into the desert war in North Africa.
Is their Ragnarok kickoff. He's their end of the world guy.
Oh, well, that's cheating.
He's supernatural.
Also, isn't that bad for everyone? Because I presume you're saying this from the perspective of if you were the respective side that you're playing in the game,
Yeah.
who would you bring? And you're bringing a doomsday god.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
So-
a bad shout.
Yeah, mutually assured destruction, man. I mean,
Yeah.
You're
Maybe
bringing-
an Anubis?
no, I don't think any god really should be brought into it.
Yeah, I've punched too high.
One, it brings the question of faith into the open, which that's going to cause a lot of issues. And two, they're far too strong.
Okay.
I think the Rommel piece might be overpowered if you're bringing Anubis. So yeah, to answer the question earlier, there's a Rommel piece and an Anubis piece. The Anubis piece is represented by a little urn that you put internal organs into. So,
It's just an operation board on the side next to the Rodolfo Graziani mousetrap.
we're going to try and find a way to amalgamate every board game into this game.
It's not complicated enough.
Well, we've sort of got away from common ground a bit there. I think, yeah, that's a good
I
one.
get it. Not wanting to get calls on public transport.
Yeah. I think
We'll
that's
agree on that.
I think that's a done. I think we've actually covered everything today.
Quite enough.
We've covered the game. We've covered good old Monty. We've done some mailbag stuff, and then we've talked about buses and Bigfoot and Anubis.
All the classics.
Light as a feather.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know that there's anything else to say
Stay
anymore.
subtle, humble, and brave.
Yeah, there it is. I suppose if Anubis was to show up, I don't think I'd be bothered.
Wow. It's a real palpable sense of defeat in here.
Good night, everyone. Watch out for the spookies. Night night.